I want to welcome you again to this program today. We are going to get started with Rabbi Seth Oppenheimer. He is going to do the invocation.
We are taught daily in the Ahavat Olam prayer that the Holy One of Blessing gave us Torah as an act of love. Ben Bagbag said of the Torah, "Turn it and turn it, for everything is in it. Reflect and grow gray with it. Don't turn from it, for nothing is better than it." Master of the universe, grant us the wisdom to recognize Torah for the loving gift it is. Grant us the will to turn it, wrestling with the holy challenges and understanding the deep worth of the endeavor. Finally, let us receive Torah, and in particular, this Sefer Torah, in deep gratitude, remembering all those who read from it before their world burned, and thinking ahead to all those who will read from it in the future. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. Blessed are you, O Eternal, giver of Torah.
Thank you, Rabbi Oppenheimer. Next, Reverend Kim Hancock of the Deering United Methodist Church is going to talk about the Bible.
Thank you. In talking about the Old Testament in the parameters of time that I've been given, it is a lot like a child in nursery school being asked to give a dissertation for a PhD, but I will do my best. The Old Testament answers the questions of where we came from, a question that everybody asks. It is the foundation of our faith. The Bible shows us God's grace, God's power, His protection, His provision, His discipline, His wrath, His promises, His faithfulness, and His trustworthiness. In the law, we see laws and orders, but also we see covenant. This shows us boundaries, but also actions and consequences. It also shows us our need of the Lord and our own inadequacies. Through Adam and Eve, we were shown the deceitfulness of the evil one and the grace of God. Through Cain and Abel, we see the power of envy and hate, or the nature of God versus the nature of man. In contrast to the beauty of shalom, peace, and koinonia, community, through our English language has a hard time plumbing the depth of these two words. Through Abraham, all nations of the world will be blessed. Through the story of Isaac and Ishmael, we can understand the struggle in the Middle East as well as the world. Through the 10 Commandments, we can understand our need of the Lord. That we are to love the Lord with our whole being, our heart, our mind, our spirit, and our strength. And we are to treat everyone with dignity and respect and love. We understand the benefit of wisdom through the Proverbs and the emptiness of folly in Ecclesiastes. We find a way to lament and worship and glorify God through all circumstances in the Psalms. To put our own circumstances in perspective as we read through the book of Job. We see life application reading about the lives of these that came before us, such as Moses and Abraham and David, and what the Lord requests of us in Micah 6:8. Where it says, "Know, O people, the Lord has told you what is good. And this is what He requires of you, to do what is right, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God." I can't help but embrace the beauty of the Lord's message and the Torah scroll. Shalom.
Thank you very much, Reverend Hancock. I would like to take just a few minutes to kind of talk a little bit about the room in which we are standing here. The Augusta Jewish Museum Education Center had its grand ribbon cutting a month ago, and it opened its doors to displays that aim to educate about the Jewish community, its traditions, its history, and the many important contributions it made to the community, to this area. One of the 5 rooms here is dedicated to the Holocaust education. Has been my focus for the last few years. In a very limited space, we try to cover the history of the Holocaust, the victims, and including all the lost communities and a vibrant Jewish life in pre-war Europe. It includes also stories of survivors and liberators who bear witness to the Holocaust. At the center of this room is a most precious object, a surviving Holocaust Torah from Czechoslovakia. This Torah is specifically from the community of Lipnik nad Bečvou in northeast Moravia, now part of the Czech Republic. Miraculously survived, and it bears witness to the fate of its community. We were very fortunate to obtain this Torah on permanent loan from the Memorial Scrolls Fund with the help of Rabbi Searle and his family. At the time, Nazi Germany in 1939 invaded the regions of Moravia and Bohemia, which are now in the Czech Republic. There were many old Jewish communities, some going back to the 13th century. They all built beautiful synagogues for worship. At the center of these synagogues were the Torah scrolls, which are the heart of every Jewish community. When the situation became difficult in 1942, the communities from Moravia and Bohemia sent their Torah scrolls to Prague, to the Jewish museum there for safekeeping. And miraculously, many of them survived the war and very difficult conditions, and were rescued by a British benefactor from Westminster Synagogue. And we will hear shortly from Lois Roman of the Memorial Scrolls Fund about the history of this rescued Czech Torah and many similar ones. Before we go to Lois Roman's video, when you have a chance to visit here later and stand in front of this Czech Torah, think about how it was used, how it was carried with reverence in services to celebrate the Sabbath and holidays, and think of all the many joyous events, simchas, it may have witnessed in the life of the small community of Lipnik. These Torah scrolls on display, like the other Torah scrolls that Lois Roman will talk about, are going to keep alive the memory of their lost community and the Jews who were murdered in the Holocaust. So it is also a symbol of hope, of survival against all odds.
Hello, my name is Lois Roman, and I am one of the trustees of the Memorial Scrolls Trust, a London-based charity that cares for 1,564 scrolls that survived the Holocaust from the Czech lands. We are so honored to present scroll number 1205 to the Augusta Jewish Museum, and would like to publicly thank the Cyril family for making this permanent loan happen. This 200-year-old scroll in your museum was originally used by the Jewish community in a town called Lipnik nad Bečvou and dates from the early 1800s. This town in the old Moravian kingdom had a relatively large Jewish community started in the 1400s. The town still contains the Czech Republic's second oldest synagogue building, which is now being used as a Hussite church. This MST scroll has arrived in Augusta after a long journey characterized by a series of miracles, Jewish resistance, and heroism. When the Nazis invaded the Czech lands in 1939, the practice of Judaism was halted, and over the next few years, all Jewish people, whether observant or not, who had at least one Jewish grandparent, were rounded up from these lands, moved to concentration camps, and the vast majority were murdered. During the early years of this tumultuous time, the Jews living in Prague collected and put away more than 200,000 objects of Judaica, including this scroll. Since no bombs fell on Prague during the war, the scroll survived intact, even though 85% of Czech Jews did not. When the communists took control in 1948, the scrolls were moved to a drafty, damp building out of view. In the 1960s, when the communists needed money, the scrolls were sold to a man living in London, attending services at the Westminster Synagogue in Knightsbridge. The Memorial Scrolls Trust was created to care for the scrolls, including MST scroll number 1205. It is part of a network of 1,400 scrolls that we have given out on permanent loan to communities all over the world, from Australia to South Africa to Mumbai, India, and of course, all across the United States. We need to ensure that the 6 million innocent Jewish people that were killed in the Holocaust are never forgotten. For this scroll, let us continue to remember the Jews of Litnik, not Bechvo, a population that peaked at 1,600 people when this scroll was being used in Jewish services, and a community that does not exist today. No Jews live in this town after the Holocaust. The Torah is the most holy item in Judaism. It is also the Old Testament for Christians. It is also one of the 5 books of Musa for Muslims. We hope that with this artifact, visitors to the museum can see what binds us together as people, and also remember how fragile our world can be. On behalf of the Memorial Scrolls Trust, thank you for caring for this scroll. Goodbye.
We are the servants of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the Holy One, blessed be He, whom we revere and whose Torah we revere at all times. Not upon mortals do we rely, nor upon angels do we depend, but upon the God of heaven, the God of truth, whose Torah is truth, whose prophets are truth, and who abounds in acts of goodness and truth. In God do we put our trust. Unto God's holy, precious being do we utter praise. May it please you, O God, to open our hearts to your Torah, answer our prayers and the prayers of all your people, for goodness, for life, and for peace. Isagitna kame umikama dikaro rayete bechol idan veidan la elano shachitna vela bard elain samichna ela miela dishmaya 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 lo
Saviv Shatu Ala
for this beautiful rendition. Thank you, and for the dedication. Next, Jennifer Wood, Executive Director of the Jewish Community Center Federation of Augusta.
Thank you, Judy. Thank you for inviting me here to speak today. On behalf of the Jewish Community Center and Federation of Augusta, I want to extend our deepest gratitude to everyone who has made this remarkable museum possible. Our community has something to truly be proud of. We're standing here in the oldest standing synagogue in Georgia. It has been saved and transformed into the Jewish Museum. Tremendous achievement, a testament to the hard work, dedication, and generous contributions of so many people. With this museum, Augusta now boasts the only other museum, Jewish museum, outside of the Bremen in Atlanta. What an extraordinary distinction for our city. The J is honored to collaborate with the museum and to have co-hosted several programs together. I eagerly anticipate continuing this productive partnership and building on our successes. By working together, our community can make a powerful impact in Augusta, throughout the South, and in Israel. Today, we have the privilege of dedicating one of the more than 1,500 Czech Torahs that were saved and preserved after World War II. This Torah is not just a relic. It is a living testament to the resilience of the Jewish people and the enduring blessings of God. It stands as a poignant reminder of the fragility of life and the strength of faith. It's a profound question to consider why the Nazis, who sought to annihilate the Jewish people, chose to actually preserve some of these sacred texts. On Kristallnacht, 267 synagogues were destroyed, but not every one of those Torahs were. Perhaps this preservation reflects a dark irony, the preservation of the very essence of what they sought to eradicate, which still stands strong. As we dedicate this Torah today, let it remind us of our shared history and the enduring spirit of the Jewish people. We are proud of this museum. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. We want to encourage all of you to take the time and come and tour the exhibits. And thank you again, everybody, for coming. Thank you.